So I was gonna read a quote. Well, not a quote, but read something Jerome wrote, and I think it's the best piece of Christian writing ever. I don't know. It is very hilarious and true. And at least the man had, I mean, he had a sense of humor. Uh, I actually do not know that much about Jerome. Everybody just knows him, and everyone, well, some people don't know who Augustine was. I didn't believe that was possible until a few days ago. But yeah, the but usually people just know him in connection with Augustine or the Vulgate. I want to show you guys a book. Came highly recommended. It's The Life in Christ by John Cabasilas, and it was written just before the fall of Constantinople, 1452. My memory serves me correctly. But what I want to speak to you about tonight is something that I think. I mean, it's the one thing that really speaks loud to me about the Gospels. The only person in the Gospel who's an actual person, not speaking of Jesus, but who's the only person in the Bible, not just a name, but a character, somebody with humanity, somebody who changes, somebody who's extremely human. And that's probably one of my favorite people of history, is St. Peter. Simon Bar Jona, Cephas, or Cephas in Aramaic, Petrus in Greek, Peter in English. Um, this is, I mean, he is extremely human. I identify with him a lot because he seems to be brutally honest about things. He seems to speak his mind. Um, Instantly, oh, but what about when he denies Christ? Yeah, okay. But in the narrative, he he's in in the Gospels, uh, he's married. He gets angry. Uh, Peter's house was actually turned into a church. They discovered. They discovered this ancient church and then an octagon basilica, and they said, "What is this?" And then they found ruins of foundation. They found his name scrawled all over the place in it by pilgrims. But what does he do? I mean, he's the only one who like actually truly loves the Lord. He gets angry. People come to arrest the man that he professed being the Messiah, the Son of the Living God. And what does he do? He whips out a sword and cuts off the ear. Again, my father would say this is another. This is just another case of the tale that grew in the telling, because in the first one it was somebody, and then it was somebody of the party, and then it was Peter. But if we take the full image of Peter, he actually, you know, challenges Jesus, and Jesus actually calls Peter Satan, the same man that he would call, says, "Get behind me, Satan." The same man he would wind up calling to shepherd his sheep, feed his sheep, and shepherd his flock. Um, Peter is one of the greatest apostles, if not better than Paul. Because what does he do? Even in the book of Acts, he waffles. And if we look if we look even beyond the Gospels, the whole story, the the Acts of Peter, the end part, the one thing about the end, again, yeah, it's apocryphal, but there could be nuggets of truth in there. And it's in the form of Peter to be running away from the crucifixion, be like, oh, and then being like, all right, I got to get out of here. And then or Christ has to correct him again, walking down. Sees an image walking down the Appian Way. Says the famous words, Domine quo vadis, or quo vadis Domine. Where are you going, my Lord? I'm going to Rome to be crucified. And then Peter understands he has to return. But he's somebody who gets angry. He's somebody who uh, is afraid. He's somebody who turns to Jesus and starts to turn away. He's somebody who can be so dead on sometimes and then so way off others. He actually grows and changes. We can't say the same thing for anybody else. Because Saul turned to Paul, but you don't actually witness any type of transformation. Okay, he held the cloaks, whatever, and then he goes, and then we have the writings that are from him. And apparently Luke was his scribe, so we're getting it from his point of view. With Peter, we don't have, I mean, people say Mark was based on Peter's evidence. Peter talked, people remembering what Peter said and then writing it down, trying to get the events straightened out. The epistles of Peter, maybe from the schools of him. Again, I get into hot water with the epistles, with the people who say every book has to be written by so and so, or Hebrews is written by Paul, even though it's not grouped with the Pauline epistles. But yeah, Peter is a guy that I actually like. Sorry, my computer keeps slipping. I just think it's amazing. He's the one. He has a wife. We know that. We knew that. We don't know. Women were not mentioned a lot in the Gospels, or people being married weren't mentioned a lot, or whose spouses was who. So his family. But I don't know. He's kind of a kick-ass, badass character. And then he denies Christ 3 times. And what does he do? He starts crying. I mean, this isn't a wimpy guy. This was somebody who attacked with a sword. Um, Probably a zealot. I mean, he was. I mean, these were rough fishermen. And then what happens is what is. I think it has to be the risen Lord say to him. So 3 times he denies. Jesus comes back 3 times to forgive. And Peter shows the love of Christ because he's constantly testing it. And he's constantly screwing up. I mean, it's awesome. In the book of Acts, people say, "Oh, see Peter." I'm like, no, that's humanness. I mean, but yet we consider him a great saint, which is, I think, how we have to look at it. I mean, the saints were the sinners. Other people who have saint. I mean, if you look in Islam, um, they take the narrative of the Bible and they erase any type of sin out of it. Oh, they were sinless. All the prophets were sinless. Why would these men of God be drunkards and this and that? Because they're humans that grow and they have failings and flaws, things like that. But he loved Christ. I mean, it didn't matter if he had fear in him or what was the reason why he chopped off the ear to defend his Lord. And Jesus was like, "Do you still not? You said it so clearly the other day. You saw me transfigured. You still don't get it, and Peter struggled. He was Israel, is one who struggles with God, one who actually gets into a fight with God, and that's what Peter did. Uh, and then we have the tradition of his martyrdom, where he said, "I am not worthy." He keeps saying that to Jesus. He said, "Go, get away from me. I'm not a righteous man." Uh, and that's why we have the inverted cross on. It's not a satanic symbol like the evangelical claim it is. It says, "I don't want to be crucified in the same fashion as my Lord." Uh, it's tradition that Andrew got crucified on an X-shaped cross, or I think it might have been the Chi uh, in the, we have ICXC, but there's also the Chi Rho, which looks like a P and an X. Um, but I don't know. Peter is somebody you can read the Gospels, and for me, he's the only person I can identify with, because he rejects. I mean, he doesn't get the message half the time. Some of the times he's dead on, which is exactly how you are when you're trying to come to God. He's the only one that shows himself. I mean, or not shows himself, but the only one that winds up showing what we want. We can relate to him. It's just not just a name, or not just somebody who spouts words or things like that. With exception to Jesus, uh, in the narrative, in the writings, the letters, the epistles. Okay, you can see things in there, but that's one person talking when you're reading it. It's one personality talking. Uh, that's why Peter's for a while there. This is going to sound horrible. I actually like Peter a lot better than Jesus. I said that guy's awesome. But yeah, that's my take on Peter. I really, yeah, Saint Peter. I also like the fact that he started my church in Antioch, which I might mention was founded before Rome. So peace to you. Or Alexandria, yet we get placed after. I mean, yeah, don't get. And Byzantium didn't even exist there. I mean, it was the town of Byzantium. It was Constantinople. Yeah, we're number 4. The only one behind us is Jerusalem. It seems like they should invert them, doesn't it? It seems like it should go Jerusalem, Antioch, Alexandria, Constantinople, Rome. But instead, it's the other way around. It's like they got it backward, but I don't question. That's not something I question. Would never be something I'm going to argue over. Uh, peace to you.